Some crimes don't just shock a community, they echo across the world. They dominate headlines, spark endless debates, and leave behind questions that are never fully answered.
And this is the moment Watts realizes he was caught on a neighbor's surveillance camera backing his pickup truck into his driveway. Out of view of the camera, he is loading the 3 bodies on the truck.
These are not just stories of violence, they're stories of mystery, psychology, and the darker side of human nature. Cases that stay alive for years, sometimes decades, because something about them just doesn't sit right. Today, we're counting down 5 of the most famous real-life murder cases in modern history. From chilling family betrayals to unsolved mysteries that still keep investigators awake at night.
The investigation began in the early morning hours of March 25, 2015, when a passerby found the severely injured 18-year-old on Cedar Villa Estates Road on the outskirts of Saskatoon.
Number 5. The Perfect Husband Lie, Chris Watts Case. In 2018, a quiet suburban neighborhood in Colorado became the center of one of the most disturbing family murder cases in recent memory. Chris Watts appeared to be an ordinary man, a husband, a father, someone living a simple, stable life. His social media painted a picture of happiness, family vacations, smiling children, a loving wife, and a comfortable home. But appearances can be dangerously deceiving. In August 2018, Watts reported his pregnant wife Shanann and their 2 daughters missing. He even gave interviews to local news, standing on his front porch, asking for their safe return. His voice sounded calm, almost detached. For some viewers, something felt off, but no one could have imagined the truth. Investigators quickly began to notice inconsistencies. Surveillance footage from a neighbor's camera showed Watts behaving strangely the morning his family disappeared. His story didn't align with the timeline. Phone records, text messages, and his own body language during questioning began to unravel his version of events. Within days, the truth came out. Chris Watts confessed to murdering his wife and daughters. He strangled Shanann after an argument, then killed his 2 young children. He transported their bodies to an oil site where he worked, hiding them in a way that shocked even experienced investigators. The brutality of the crime was horrifying, but what made it even more disturbing was how normal he seemed. There were no obvious warning signs. Friends and family described him as quiet, polite, even passive. It forced people to ask a chilling question: how well do we really know the people closest to us? Watts later pleaded guilty and was sentenced to multiple life terms without the possibility of parole. But the case continues to haunt people, not just because of what he did, but because of how easily he blended into everyday life. Number 4. The International Mystery, Meredithkercher Case. In 2007, the historic city of Perugia, Italy, became the focus of global attention after the murder of Meredithkercher, a 21-year-old exchange student from the United Kingdom. Kercher had been living abroad, studying and experiencing a new culture, something thousands of students do every year. But one night, everything changed. She was found dead in her apartment, the victim of a violent and chaotic attack. The crime scene suggested multiple people may have been involved. Almost immediately, suspicion fell on her roommate, Amanda Knox, and Knox's boyfriend, Rafael Solicito. What followed was not just an investigation, it was a media storm that spread across continents. Amanda Knox became the center of global fascination. Some saw her as an innocent young woman caught in a nightmare. Others believed her behavior seemed unusual, even suspicious. The media gave her nicknames, dissected her personality, and turned the case into a spectacle. The investigation itself was heavily criticized. There were claims of mishandled evidence, questionable interrogation techniques, and conflicting forensic results. Yet in 2009, Knox and Solicito were convicted of murder. But the story didn't end there. Over the next several years, the case went through multiple appeals. Each ruling seemed to contradict the last. Convictions were overturned, then reinstated, then challenged again. It became one of the most confusing legal sagas in modern history. Finally, in 2015, Italy's highest court acquitted both Knox and Solisado, stating there was insufficient evidence to prove their guilt. However, another man, Rudy Gede, was convicted for his role in the crime. Even today, the case remains deeply controversial. Many still debate what truly happened that night in Perugia. Was justice served, or did the truth get lost in a storm of media pressure and investigative errors? Number 3. The charming killer, Ted Bundy. Some killers are terrifying because of what they do. Others are terrifying because of who they appear to be. Ted Bundy was both. During the 1970s, Bundy carried out a series of murders across the United States, targeting young women. He confessed to killing 30 victims, but many investigators believe the real number could be significantly higher. What made Bundy so dangerous was his ability to appear normal. More than normal, actually. He was intelligent, well-spoken, and often described as charming. He used this to his advantage, gaining the trust of his victims before attacking them. He would sometimes pretend to be injured, wearing a fake cast, or using crutches, asking women for help. It was a simple trick, but it worked. Again and again. For years, Bundy evaded capture, moving between states and leaving behind a trail of fear and unanswered questions. When he was finally arrested, it seemed like the nightmare was over. But it wasn't. In one of the most shocking twists in criminal history, Bundy escaped from custody, not once, but twice. After his second escape, he went on to commit more murders before being captured again. His trial became a media phenomenon. Cameras captured his every move, and people were both fascinated and horrified by his behavior. Bundy even chose to represent himself in court at times, displaying a level of confidence that bordered on arrogance. In 1989, he was executed in the electric chair. But his legacy remains. His case is still studied today, not just for the crimes themselves, but for what they reveal about human psychology. Bundy forced the world to confront a terrifying reality that evil doesn't always look the way we expect. Number 2. The unsolved mystery, jonbenetramsey. Some cases are disturbing because we know exactly what happened. Others are disturbing because we don't. The murder of jonbenetramsey in 1996 is one of the most famous unsolved cases in history. JonBent was just 6 years old, known for participating in beauty pageants. On the morning after Christmas, her parents reported her missing. Inside their home, they found a ransom note demanding $118,000. But hours later, the situation took a dark turn. JonBent's body was discovered in the basement of the same house. The case immediately raised questions. There were no signs of forced entry. The ransom note was unusually long and written inside the house. The timeline didn't make sense, and the crime scene was quickly compromised, making it difficult for investigators to gather clear evidence. Suspicion fell in multiple directions, on the family, on potential intruders, and even on unknown individuals whose DNA was later found at the scene. Over the years, countless theories have emerged, each attempting to explain what really happened. But none have been proven. Despite advances in forensic science, the case remains unsolved nearly 3 decades later. It continues to fascinate investigators, journalists, and the public alike. Because at its core, the jonbenetramsey case represents something deeply unsettling. The idea that a crime so significant, so widely investigated, can still remain a mystery. Number 1. The trial of the century, ojsimpson case. At number 1, we have a case that didn't just capture attention, it changed the way the world viewed crime, media, and justice. In 1994, O.J. Simpson was accused of murdering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman, in Los Angeles. The evidence seemed strong, linking Simpson to the crime scene, blood found in his vehicle, and a timeline that placed him near the murders. But what followed was not just a trial, it was a global event. Millions of people watched every moment on television. It became known as the trial of the century. The prosecution focused on forensic evidence, The defense, however, focused on doubt, questioning how the evidence was collected and suggesting the possibility of police misconduct. Then came one of the most famous moments in courtroom history. Simpson was asked to try on a pair of gloves believed to be connected to the crime. When they appeared not to fit, defense attorney Johnny Cochran delivered a line that would be remembered forever. "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." In 1995, Simpson was found not guilty. The verdict shocked the world. It divided public opinion and sparked debates that continue to this day. Years later, a civil court found Simpson liable for the deaths, but the criminal case remains one of the most controversial ever. These 5 cases may be completely different on the surface, different people, different places, different stories, but they all connect in one powerful way. They force us to question what we think we understand about justice, about truth, and about human nature itself. Because when you really think about it, these aren't just crime stories. These are moments where reality didn't match expectations. A loving father turns into a killer. A global trial leaves the world divided. A child's case remains unsolved for decades. A charming man hides something terrifying beneath the surface. These stories shake that basic belief we all have, that we can recognize danger when we see it. Some of these cases remind us how easily appearances can fool us. The people we trust, the faces we see every day, they don't always tell the full story. Others show us how fragile justice can be, how one mistake, one missed detail, or one bad decision during an investigation can change everything. And then there are the cases that never get closure, the ones that stay open, lingering in the back of our minds. Because the truth was never fully uncovered. And maybe that's why crime stories affect us so deeply. It's not just curiosity, it's not just entertainment, it's something more personal. Because in a strange way, we see ourselves in these stories. We imagine what we would do, how we would react, whether we would notice the warning signs or completely miss them. They force us to confront a reality we don't like to think about, that the world isn't always predictable, and sometimes it doesn't make sense at all. That's what makes these stories so powerful. They stay with you. Long after the video ends, long after the headlines fade, they sit in your mind unanswered. And now, I want to hear from you. Out of all these cases, which one disturbed you the most? Which one do you think still has secrets hidden beneath the surface? And if you had to choose, do you believe justice was truly served in these cases, or not? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I read them all, and am always curious to see what you think. And if you enjoy these kinds of deep, real-life stories, the ones that make you think, question, and sometimes even feel uncomfortable, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because there are many more stories out there, and some of them are even more unsettling than the ones you just heard.